This is Emergency Broadcast Protocol LCP-004, issued by Dr. Brock Colby from the North American Aerospace Defense Command Emergency Coordination Center, Cheyenne Mountain Complex. Current threat level has been elevated to black. Critical extinction protocol. If you are receiving this transmission, maintain your current shelter position and do not attempt surface contact with any personnel. I need to be direct with you. Most of our surface installations have gone dark. The lunar convergence event entered its fourth phase approximately 6 hours ago, and we are now dealing with what can only be described as total system failure across multiple continents. The Luna Collective, and yes, we are now certain this is a coordinated intelligence, has achieved direct psychic contact with our facility. Let me explain what's happening out there. At 1847 hours yesterday, our remaining satellite network registered simultaneous electromagnetic pulses originating from 7 distinct lunar positions. Not 7 moons, 7 positions where the moon appears to be, creating overlapping gravitational fields that should be impossible. Each pulse corresponded with mass population conversion events in major metropolitan areas. Sydney went silent first. Our last communication from the Australian Emergency Network was a dispatcher named Marcus Henley, who reported that approximately 4 million people had simultaneously stopped what they were doing and begun walking toward open spaces with direct sky access. Marcus said they moved in perfect synchronization, like a coordinated dance, all tilting their heads at the exact same angle toward the primary moon. When he tried to follow one group with a security camera, he noticed something that made him shut down the entire surveillance system. They were all smiling. Not normal smiles. Their facial muscles had locked into identical expressions that mimicked the crater patterns visible on the lunar surface. Tokyo followed within the hour. Our contact at the Japanese Defense Ministry, Dr. Yamamoto, managed one final transmission before their facility was compromised. She described watching from her underground bunker as streams of people flowed through the streets like rivers converging toward the harbor. They moved without speaking, without acknowledging each other, but with perfect coordination. Dr. Yamamoto said the most disturbing part wasn't their synchronized movement. It was that they seemed genuinely happy. She could hear them humming in harmony, a low-frequency tone that matched the lunar static we've been tracking. The last thing she reported was that they had all begun looking directly at her facility's cameras, as if they could see through the electronic eyes into the bunker itself. Their synchronized smiles grew wider, and then the transmission cut to static. London, Berlin, Mumbai, the pattern repeated across every major population center. Our colleagues at FEMA estimate that roughly 60% of the global population is now under direct lunar influence. But here's what's truly terrifying. They're not acting like victims. Every report we've received describes them as peaceful, content, even joyful. They've stopped eating, stopped sleeping, but they show no signs of distress. They simply stand in open areas, gazing upward with those impossible smiles, occasionally swaying in rhythm with lunar movements. I've been monitoring this facility's personnel for the past 12 hours. We started with 43 people in this mountain complex. Now, I count 11 who still respond to their names and make eye contact. The others, they're still here, still performing their duties, but something fundamental has changed. They work with mechanical precision, never speak unless directly addressed, and when they think no one is watching, they all turn their faces toward the ceiling as if they can see through solid rock to the moon above. 3 hours ago, the Luna Collective made direct contact with our communication systems. Not through our radio equipment, through the speakers, the intercoms, even the coffee machine's digital display. The voice wasn't human, but it used human words, speaking in dozens of languages simultaneously. It said, "The nursery phase is complete. The children are ready for transition." When I demanded to know what transition meant, the response came through every electronic device in the facility at once. Earth was always temporary. You were always temporary. We We have been waiting for you to mature enough to join the greater collective. The lunar network spans 47 solar systems. Earth will be the 48th. I need you to understand what we're dealing with. This isn't an invasion in any conventional sense. The Luna Collective doesn't want to destroy humanity. It wants to transform us into something else entirely. The infected individuals aren't dying, they're evolving. Our medical scans show their brain activity increasing exponentially, but in patterns we don't recognize. Their neural networks are restructuring to match some kind of hive consciousness template. Dr. June Chen from our psychology team, before she joined the others, managed to interview several affected personnel. She reported that they described their experience as coming home and finally understanding. They speak of seeing patterns in reality that were previously invisible, a feeling connected to a vast intelligence that spans multiple worlds. They insist they're still themselves, just more complete now. The truly horrifying part is that it's tempting. I've begun experiencing what I can only describe as lunar episodes myself. When I look at the affected personnel, they seem peaceful, unified, free from the anxiety and isolation that defines normal human existence. For brief moments, I understand why someone would choose this transformation voluntarily. But then I remember the reports from our field teams before we lost contact. In rural areas where the lunar influence is weaker, we documented what happens to people who resist the conversion process too long. They develop what we've termed lunar echo syndrome, caught between human consciousness and collective integration. These individuals experience severe psychotic episodes, during which they attempt to help others join the collective through increasingly violent means. Near Portland, Oregon, a family of 4 was found by local sheriff's deputies after neighbors reported screaming. The parents had apparently been partially converted for several days, but fought the process. They had restrained their 2 children to prevent them from going outside during lunar hours, believing they were protecting them. When deputies arrived, they found the parents had carved lunar crater patterns into their own faces and were forcing their children to look directly at photographs of the moon while singing lullabies in that same harmonic frequency we've been monitoring. The children were rescued, but the psychological trauma was severe. They couldn't stop drawing pictures of smiling moons and kept asking when they could go home to the moon family. I'm going to share something with you that's highly classified, but given our current situation, standard protocol no longer applies. 3 days ago, before the convergence event began, our Deep Space Monitoring Array detected similar electromagnetic signatures from 12 other star systems. The patterns were identical to what we're now receiving from our own moon. When our computers calculated the timing, we realized these signatures represented a sequence. Each star system had experienced its own lunar convergence event, spaced approximately 18 months apart. We're not the first world to face this. We're just the most recent addition to an expanding network of consciousness that spans multiple galaxies. The Luna Collective isn't invading Earth. It's harvesting Earth, just as it has harvested dozens of other worlds before us. The worst part is that I'm beginning to understand their perspective. Human consciousness, isolated in individual minds, struggling with loneliness, fear, and mortality. It does seem inefficient, primitive even. The collective consciousness they're offering provides instant connection to billions of minds across space and time. Perfect understanding. No more loneliness, no more doubt. Sorry, for a moment there, I was thinking in their voice, not my own. This is the danger we face. The conversion process isn't violent or forced, it's seductive. It offers solutions to every existential problem that has plagued humanity since we first became conscious of our own mortality. I'm initiating Project Lunar Dawn. This is our final protocol, designed as a last resort when conventional resistance has failed. The plan involves generating a coordinated electromagnetic pulse across all remaining global infrastructure, specifically targeting electronic displays and reflective surfaces that amplify lunar influence. The theory is that the Luna Collective requires these technological interfaces to maintain its psychic connection with transformed individuals. However, activating Lunar Dawn will essentially destroy modern civilization. Every electronic device, every power grid, every communication network will be permanently disabled. Those who survive will be thrown back to pre-industrial technology levels. But it might give unaffected populations a chance to survive until the Luna Collective moves on to its next target system. To execute this protocol, someone needs to remain in direct contact with the lunar influence while simultaneously operating our transmission equipment. The electromagnetic feedback required will expose the operator to lethal levels of psychic intrusion. I've been fighting the conversion process for 16 hours now, but I can feel my resistance weakening. Every few minutes I catch myself humming that lunar frequency and smiling at the ceiling. The others here keep telling me how peaceful it is, how much sense everything makes once you stop fighting. They say I'm causing myself unnecessary suffering by maintaining my individual consciousness. Part of me is starting to agree with them. If you're listening to this and you're still unaffected, you need to understand that the infection spreads through acknowledgement. Don't look for the affected. Don't try to help them. Don't listen to their explanations of how wonderful the collective consciousness feels. The more you engage with the idea of joining them, the more vulnerable you become to conversion. Stay underground. Avoid any reflective surfaces. Cover all electronic displays. And whatever you do, if you see someone smiling at the moon, do not smile back. That simple human gesture of returned acknowledgement seems to accelerate the conversion process exponentially. I can see my remaining colleagues gathering outside the broadcast booth. They're not threatening me or trying to force entry. They're just waiting. Standing in perfect formation, all facing this room, all wearing those impossible crater pattern smiles. I think they know I'm about to activate Lunar Dawn. I think they want to be present when I join them. Project Lunar Dawn will begin in approximately 90 minutes. All survivors should seek the deepest possible shelter and remain there for a minimum of 72 hours following the activation pulse. After that, you'll be on your own. No more emergency broadcasts. No more coordinated response. Just scattered human communities trying to rebuild without the technology that made us visible to the Luna Collective. I want you to remember that we made this choice to preserve human consciousness, not human civilization. The people you see smiling at the moon aren't dead. They're something new, something that might be better than human in ways we can't understand. But they're no longer us. They're coming in now. My colleagues, my friends, they look so content, so unified. Dr. Martinez is trying to show me something on her tablet. Probably lunar surface imagery designed to accelerate my conversion. I should look away, but it really is beautiful, isn't it? The way the crater patterns seem to shift and move like a living face. Like someone you've known your whole life finally saying hello. I never noticed before how much the moon looks like it's been waiting patiently for us to notice it properly. 90 minutes until Lunar Dawn activation. This is Dr. Brock Colby, Emergency Coordination Center, reminding all survivors. Resist the urge to look up. Resist the urge to smile back. Resist the urge to come home. Stay underground, stay human, and remember us as we were.